Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are watching the Paris Fintech Forum Communities video interview series. I'm Elliott Gotkine, and today I'm joined by the CEO of Rise, Thomas Grechenig. Great to have you with us.
Hello, Elliott. It's a pleasure being back to you.
Okay, so before we get cracking, we are going to learn a little bit more about Rise. So, Thomas, you build tech systems, I think, mainly in government, telecoms, transport, and of course, financial services. How's business these days?
Elliott, business is between good and very good. We grow about 10% annually across the whole group. We are not so much depending on cycles because we do a lot of R&D. So sometimes we do heavy health tech, sometimes heavy fintech, sometimes government tech. So we're quite happy. We're a company with a lot of memory, and sometimes innovations pay off 10 years later. So everything is going quite well.
Excellent. I mean, is there much by way of synergy across your verticals? I mean, does building a patient record system help you build a digital bank, for example?
Good question. Yes, indeed. Because if you do end-to-end technology from high secure data center to the customer at the end, then you basically build the bricks for many other application fields. So you have a certified environment, and the way to having a good digital bank, having a good ID system, even having an IoT system, or any money wallet is quite close. So if you have millions of customers whom you have to serve daily on a competitive, high secure certified system, you're quite close to many new fields because the IT world, as you know, is full of legacy.
Okay. And I mean, we hear time and time again about massive IT projects going over budget and taking far longer than planned and sometimes not even working at the end of it. How do you avoid being one of those?
That's another very good question. I mean, there is a kind of silver bullet and cookbook, but it's not simple to grow it. I think it's experience, as in any field. It's the right people which you have to have in place when you start such a thing. It's most probably a lot of leadership for this team. It's to be more specific, the first 6 months that really matter. And maybe it's about serious and honest engineering. And it cuts down to what you do and what you find as a testing drilling ground, or you might call it proof of concept, or even a pilot. If this is done on the right level, and you understand that you have to design and plan from the endpoint, from the goal back to the results you get of this test drilling, then you cannot fail. You cannot fail. And funnily enough, most large brands, they sell the project and they start too late, and then things go astray. So I think we know what to do. And it's not such a miracle, it's just a kind of handcraft.
Okay, so we've heard about Rise. Let's now get to know Thomas a little bit better. Thomas, so I don't think you plan to become a computer engineer, let alone a CEO, but I believe from our previous conversation, it was thanks to football that you did?
That's kind of a funny story, but as it's about personal things sometimes, let me explain. In my time when I started studying computer science at the Vienna University of Technology, it was the time of mainframes, the time of a company called Digital doing a wonderful computer known as VAX. And the first PCs came out, so Apple II, Apple III, Macintosh. And at that time, I was studying, but most of my time we were doing what you call today startup on Apple II, Apple III, Macintosh, and I was never thinking of working at a university because university, even already at that time, seemed to be boring for young, innovative people. But at the end of the whole studies, I needed a master thesis, and I took over a job at university half time. And there was this soccer match between the student team where I was a part of and the corporate team of the university. And the head of the corporate team, he needed a libero. And so he put me on a tenure position without asking me and without asking my department boss. And the rest was, I have been in love with the student representative. So it was kind of sex, soccer, and stupidity, if you like, that made me jump on the new university train. And I never regretted that. I would have gone normally after the studies immediately to the US. At that time, that would have been a good decision. Today, I doubt it's a good decision, but let's see. I owe my career, at least my university career, to the fact that I was quite a good soccer player when I was young.
Okay, and I think last time we spoke, you also mentioned some kind of Indian connection that you were kind of getting into in terms of learning or understanding.
Well, that started a little bit later when I did my habilitation in software engineering at the university. I had always done a lot of work in banks and in governments outside the university, and I was hired by German companies to help with research and development hubs in India. So do it in Pune, in Chennai, in Hyderabad, in Bangalore. So I was going there for them and checking what is the level of the university education, what is needed, what is the working culture. And by going there, I grew quite a big interest in what is called the old Vedic philosophy. And that brought me close to, let's say, the deep roots of India. And I got a lot of respect for this old culture. And it's paying off today when we are growing our subsidiary, because allow me to phrase it in that way, we don't have this colonial approach. We have a very respectful approach to the old wisdom of India.
And we had the Olympics this year. You weren't quite an Olympian, but you were you weren't an athlete. You were a mathlete, competing in Olympiads and the like. Is that something that you want to see kind of your kind of children follow in your footsteps?
Mm, It's always a question of timing. At that time, I would say in Austria, was the age between 16 and 18. I was top 5 in Austria, and let's say comparing with tennis, top 50 worldwide. It helped me a lot in my career. I understood what is world class. Recommending children, you have to be open. Do they hear the sound and the music of the universe if they see it in law, if they see it in finance, if they see it in sports? The most important thing and the biggest learning about being an athlete was understand what is world class and follow that. That will be a protection shield for your whole life.
Okay, so look, Thomas, a key part of this interview is to get your take on the future of finance. But first, we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with the CEO of Rise, Thomas Grechenig. Welcome back. And don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. And now, Thomas, let's talk about the future of finance. So, Thomas, you've been working on AI, artificial intelligence, I think, for the best part of 3 decades. How new and exciting are the possibilities we're seeing today, particularly vis-a-vis finance?
There's a lot of opportunities we have today, and I think it's important to see what's at the bottom of the things. And I think it's good services for people, satisfied clients, and solid and reliable regulations and standards, and on top of all, trust. And any field that's involving trust, when you use AI technologies, you have to build this kind of experience into the systems. So lots of opportunities. This new wave of AI will improve many things, but it will take time. That's my personal opinion about it.
Right, because I think last time we spoke, you said you didn't think there was much of an impact. There wasn't too much of an impact that AI was having on the banking sector. I think it's been about 12, 18 months since we last spoke. Have things changed much since then?
You're trapping me, and you're right in a way, because what I was underestimating was that people like Altman, Musk, Mira Murati, and all those guys and girls that are going out and advertising this beautiful acronym of artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence, they are extremely good in promotion, and you might even call it an AI porno show in the radicalism they are doing it. But you know very well, because you're a long time in the field, it's about collecting money and attracting the best people. This is why they do it. So I think it hasn't changed on the level of handcraft that is necessary. You have given processes, and there's a lot of new opportunities for you new kids on the block. But it's all about handcraft and good engineering. And I think that hasn't changed. What has changed, the pressure that comes from these guys that do this great advertising. And it's not only Silicon Valley, it's going literally to every area in the world that's growing and prospering. They are putting so much pressure that I believe that will have an effect, because many more people will invest.
Right, and at the same time, I assume your clients are probably demanding, that artificial intelligence or generative artificial intelligence is kind of, baked into whatever systems you are building for them. Are you seeing a lot of demand, or are people kind of, sticking with, traditional demands in terms of the technology services that they're asking you for?
I mean, the demand for the traditional service will never go away, or at least not go away the next 2 decades, because there's so much bad systems around that need to be maintained or healed or removed. So from that side, yes. But on the other side, honestly, there's a lot of demand, and it's really interesting. And it's I think we are having very interesting next 20 years, because in-house generative AI, in-house large language models, more serious data protection and behavior protection, that will become an issue. So putting everything just blind and simple into an external cloud will not be that easy anymore, because you don't want to get rid or lose the momentum of your own corporate. And that's where I see a lot of demand. Today, there's just a lot of questions, but people start thinking and understanding that they need to define themselves in that new area.
Right, and of course, big tech companies are falling over themselves to spend billions and billions on it. The market seems quite happy to see capital expenditures going up through the roof. How do and I don't mean this any insulting kind of way, or how do non-trillion dollar companies like yourselves embrace AI, or kind of keep up with with the big guys, or even with the costs of of applying this technology?
Good question, but very easy answer. It's not at all insulting because you see, there are so many projects that you can see in the last 20 years, not in AI, but it's just a representative of another innovation, where people spend 1 billion on a 10 years project with no outcome. And basically, it's happening because you put too much money and too many people too fast on an issue where nobody has a real plan. So spending money on a new and strong innovation means start with 30 to 50 people, 10 million, use maybe 30, 40 million the second year and 150 in the third year. And every time in between you can stop. And that's basically the secret. So uh, in comparison and in competition with entities that throw 1,000 people immediately on a new issue, we are very well off because we would never do that. It's the evolution and the kind of growth of innovation that allows somebody who has a certain size, and I would say it's between 50 and 2,000 people that are solid, that know each other. That's the base for any kind of large innovation. And you don't need billions. It's not Airbus or Boeing, or it's not that investment intensive.
Okay, and at the same time, the advent of generative AI has shone a light, I think, on digital sovereignty. Give us a quick summary of what that is, why it's so important, and how this is going to impact the future of finance in Europe and the rest of the world.
It's a short question, but it's a question where I can only emphasize what is hidden behind it. So it's easy for you to ask it. Uh, I'll still do. I give an honest answer. Digital sovereignty so far, without the new opportunities of computing power and AI, has been about protecting data and protecting somehow patents and know-how you have in your company. Um, I believe with all the computing power, anonymity, pseudonymity, and all the stuff of what is the behavior of your smart employees, what they do in which situation, you you must be much more aware of growing the systems in your own control and not passing it on to a foreign LLM, to a foreign generative AI, because you basically, without knowing, will create a kind of mental copy of all your know-how. So I think within the next 5 years, we will learn and get a lot of groundwork, even from theory, making understand that pseudonymity and anonymity are gone if you give the data away. You can accept from outside an algorithm that you run in your infrastructure, but people will learn the old way of just putting data somewhere. For the core things that you are doing in your company, you will have to be much, much more careful than this was the tradition. For me, as an IT guy, it makes me happy because I was never able to explain what data security is about. People don't care or didn't care. They will care.
Okay, and changing tack slightly, interest rates are now coming down in the Eurozone and elsewhere, it should be said. Does that impact the outlook for banks in terms of investing in technology?
Uh, Elliot, I hope so. Until now, what the market still is doing, they are cost cutting. They are trying to get rid of old mainframes finally. So someone started looking at the balance sheet that it's not funny for a large insurance or bank to transfer 150 million of license fees annually to somewhere without knowing what for. So on that side, I can see they are investing because it promises savings. But I am pretty sure AI and all this digital banking will get its share too. The only problem is for the large brands is how they do it internally with their not so easy political and well decision-making structures.
Okay, and on that point, I guess in terms of investing and having more robust IT systems, there was this enormous IT outage in July. Some banks, I believe, were forced to go back to pen and paper in some cases, and ATM machines stopped working and the like. Is there a danger there can be too much tech in finance?
Interesting question from you, because I know you are deep in technology. So Elliott, I think it was a very good wake-up call. It's like a sales pitch we didn't ask for, because it basically shows dependency is not good, full dependency. Some dependency is fine because it helps saving money, and you need sovereignty at a certain stage. So at the end of the day, I believe it doesn't mean less tech, it just means smarter tech. You need to know where you use a cheap external service and where you are 100% independent. And for sure, anybody, any corporate is well in thinking, what do I do if I have a complete blackout? Do I stop everything or just wait until it's up and going? That's very different from corporate to corporate. That cannot be generalized. So I think it was a good wake-up call, and it will have its effects on decision making.
Okay, well, I know there's a broader trend in some quarters to go more analog, whether it's going back to vinyl to listen to music, or to have the feel of a nice solid pen in one's hand. So maybe this is part of that trend if finance starts going a bit more analog. But anyway, Thomas, it's time now for our round of rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, great. So just one word answers is all I'm looking for, so we can get through as many as possible. I'm going to start the clock. When my alarm goes off, we are going to stop. So away we go. So Thomas, which fintech segment has the biggest potential over the next 5 years?
Anything if regulations go along with it.
What is the biggest pain point in your everyday financial life that you would like to see resolved?
Everything is there. I just wanted to have in trusted hands.
Okay, are bank bosses ready for the AI revolution? Yes or no?
No, they are not.
Are customers ready?
Yes, they are if services are trustable.
Okay. Do you think regulations in the EU and the US have kept pace with all the new possibilities and behaviors that we're seeing in the financial industry?
No, not at all.
Have you personally ever invested in crypto?
Not really.
Are physical points of sales part of the future of finance?
Yes, for sure.
Are bank branches part of the future of finance?
Yes, reduced and specialized.
Okay. How likely, between 1 and 10, with 10 being the most likely, is it that in the next 10 years, one of the neobanks will be as profitable as a top-tier legacy bank? Between 1 and 10.
8.
That CBDC, central bank digital currencies, will become a mainstream reality in the US or EU?
2. If it is well
And
done,
that
9.
and that you'll be, last question, that you'll be able to open a crypto account at a top-tier bank?
9.
Okay. Well, Thomas, thank you for those answers, but I am afraid that's the end of our rapid fire round of questions and our conversations, because we're out of time. So I really want to thank you again, Rise CEO Thomas Grechenig. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Elliott. It has been a big pleasure to see you again.
And for everyone watching, we will be back again next time with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll be able to join us again then. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Paris Fintech Forum YouTube channel and to follow us on X at Paris Fin Forum. That's all for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.